what if I told you the dragons ate the Triforce? Now, I know this sounds absolutely insane, right? This is a far-fetched out there theory. Just hold on, just bear with me for a minute, okay? I will explain everything the best I can. But in order to do so, I need to talk about how this game fits on the timeline as a whole. Now, I, based on the evidence, think very strongly that the past in this game actually occurs before Skyward Sword. Why do I think that? Well, first of all, this seems like an origin story for Demise, right? Ganondorf becomes a Demon King, and often in the Zelda universe, demons are not born, they are made. In Skyward Sword, for example, there's a demon who, through great goodness, is able to become a human again. And Ganondorf, vice versa. In this game, you can see in the memories, of course, massive spoilers for the game, you can see in the memories, after he gets his stone, he becomes very powerful, becomes Demon King Ganondorf, and his Demon King form looks very much like Demise. And if you recall how, when he's in Demon King form, he has the secret stone on his forehead, the same place Demise has his scar and Skyward Sword. So here's what I think happened. I think, after the events of the Tears in the Kingdom backstory, right, Ganondorf is imprisoned, but as you can see, he loses his like Demon King form. He becomes back to his regular mortal appearance and becomes all withered and stuff. What I think happened is his like malice, gloom, essence, whatever, managed to escape while his physical form was imprisoned. Now that malice or gloom manifests itself as Demise and became the antagonist of Skyward Sword. The Skyward Sword is a story of his gloom escaping imprisonment. Remember, Demise was the imprisoned first, and you fight him several times in the game, and he escapes, and you have to stop him. So that's the story of his gloom escaping, leaking out, and manifesting itself for the first time outside of his physical form. Now later, the Calamity is another example of this. The Calamity Ganon is such a manifestation. And that would mean that Ocarina of Time Ganondorf, which is also the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker Ganondorf, this is a successful manifestation, a successful avatar of gloom or malice or whatever you want to call it. The first successful full avatar of the original Ganondorf. Now, it seems like this avatar in Ocarina of Time does not have the memories of Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf, but his personality is very much the same. I mean, the parallels of Ocarina of Time cannot be denied or understated. Like, he clearly kneels to feign loyalty to the ruler and get their trust, and same evil scheme to get power. So clearly the same personality, history repeating itself, it rhymes, and that's, yeah, that he's a successful avatar. And later then, in Breath of the Wild, Calamity Ganon is an incomplete avatar. We fight this Ganondorf that's being formed while it's still incubating. It's not complete. So we beat it before it fully manifests as a complete avatar, like Ocarina of Time had. And Twinrova, of course, being the surrogate mothers for this version of Ganondorf, are responsible for summoning him. In another game, they resurrect him. They are witches that summon and, I guess, bring into existence this avatar of the original Ganondorf as this new Ocarina of Time Ganondorf. And, funnily enough, Twinrova can be seen in the Tears of the Kingdom flashback, confirming they exist all the way back, if you believe my theory, before Skyward Sword. Now, how does this tie into the title of the video about the dragons eating the Triforce? Well, as we know from Tears of the Kingdom, there is a process called Draconification. So if we take a look at, I'm just gonna put on some dragon armor just for the aesthetic while I talk about this. So if you take a look at, you know, what happens to Zelda, what happens to Ganondorf at the end of the final boss fight, they eat their sacred stone, they become dragons. Now there are 7 tiers of the kingdom, roll credits, and there are also the 7 tiers depicted on the mural. Of course, you have the sages in this game, you know, you have spirit, lightning, water, fire, wind. So those are the first 5. And then you also have light and time, which Sonia and Rauru wield. Now, Ganondorf takes Sonia's secret stone and, you know, becomes the Demon King. Zelda ends up with Rauru's stone and goes back in time. So even though for a while there are 2 duplicate stones in existence, because Zelda has one and Rauru imprisoning Ganondorf has one, they're identical duplicates. Once Zelda, the Breath of the Wild Zelda, at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, goes back in time, one is removed from existence. So you have 1, then for thousands of years you have 2, and then you have 1 again, right? That's a little convoluted, I know, but in essence there are 7 of these stones. There, you could consider it 8, but that's only temporary while there's the time shenanigans, like with the time looping stuff going on. Before and after the time loop that's created in this game, there are 7 of these stones. Where does the Triforce fit into this? Well, each of these stones represent an aspect. You have, you know, spirit, lightning, water, fire, wind, and then light and time, as I already said. Now, the ancient Zonai, as you could tell from the 3 labyrinths, they have knowledge of the aspects of courage, wisdom, and power, the 3 aspects of the Triforce. Each of those for the Zonai is associated with an animal. Power is a boar, wisdom is an owl, and courage is a dragon. Now, this means that these 3 aspects, right? Okay, this has become complicated to explain, but let's go back even further in time to the 3 golden goddesses. Each of these represents an aspect of the Triforce. Din is power, Nehru is wisdom, and Farosh is courage. Now, the 3 dragons in this game, Dinraal, Naydra, and Farosh, obviously were not named these by coincidence. Each of them embodies one of the 3 golden goddesses, whether they're descended from them or reincarnation, that doesn't matter. What matters is they embody them in the current era. And what better way to... They're dragons. That's the other thing. They're dragons and they embody the Triforce, okay? Dragons that embody the 3 aspects of the Triforce each. So, how do you become a dragon? Well, this game tells us to become a dragon, you eat a secret stone. I think what this means is that the Triforce are also secret stones. The dragons each ate a piece of the Triforce to keep it safe from Ganondorf. These dragons flying around in opposite corners of the map. You know, you got one up here, you got one down here, one flying around the desert almost. Like, they each of them are in opposite corners of the world. They are keeping the 3 pieces of the Triforce as far away as possible. This makes sense because if Ganondorf is always trying to take the Triforce in the previous games, right? It doesn't appear really in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Although there is one scene in Breath of the Wild that does appear, which I'll get to later. And it also ties into this theory, okay? But Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, like Twilight Princess is a great example in particular. Like Ganondorf gets the Triforce of Power, which allows him to escape his execution. After that, I think no matter the timeline, that's a very, very good example of an issue of having the Triforce just be free and able to be acquired by anyone. But like in any timeline, right? I think they would have realized at some point, hey, we got to keep this Triforce separated for good. What do? I think 3 sages or whatever, Zonai, whatever they are, time travel shenanigans, however they are, whatever they are, ate the Triforce, which are also secret stones, became dragons, and they're flying around Hyrule to protect each piece of the Triforce, to keep them from combining, to keep Ganondorf from getting his hands on it. Yeah. Now, how does Zelda get the full Triforce in the end of Breath of the Wild when she's fighting, you know, when you're fighting like Calamity Ganon at the end of the game, right? How does she get the full Triforce? Well, as we know from the end of Tears of the Kingdom, although the dragons are called mindless, they are able to perform some sort of duty they have, right? Ganondorf, even though he's a mindless dragon, he's still bent on his duty to destroy the world and envelop everything in eternal darkness. Zelda still helps Link out at the end of the game, even though she's a mindless dragon. I think that the 3 dragons that each have a piece of the Triforce, their duty is to stop Ganon, and no matter what. So, at the end of Breath of the Wild, they fulfilled their duty by... Oh, Yiga. They fulfilled their duty by lending Zelda... Just kill this Yiga real quick. They lend Zelda each piece of the Triforce, and yeah, that's how she gets the Triforce. So as we can see from the end of Tears of the Kingdom, dragons still are able to perform whatever duty they set out to do by becoming a dragon. The 3 dragons, they fulfill their duty by lending Zelda the Triforce in a time of need, and that is how we're able to defeat Calamity Ganon with Zelda's help. She wields the Triforce, you can see it on her hand in the game. To me, this makes sense, right? To me, this is a sensible theory. I mean, of course, let me know what you guys think, and if this is true, then that really means that the Triforce is more of a Decaforce than a Triforce, but this Triforce in particular must have some specific significance, especially because there's, you know, the mazes, the labyrinths built around each aspect of them. Perhaps the Triforce, you know, governs the rest of the Decaforce, and they're the main aspect of it, but yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You guys think this is a solid theory? And do you have any alterations, any proposals? That's it for today. Kaiserker out. Peace and booyah.